As we already predicted, the negotiations failed, and it failed exactly because of the very thing that we knew the Islamic Republic is not flexible about, and the Americans want with like absolutely want, and they're not willing to give up on, which is the uranium. They already enriched uranium, and also the Islamic Republic giving up on enriching uranium ever again. President Trump said that apparently they were flexible about everything else. That's what President Trump just said on Fox News, which is actually a lot more flexibility that we assume that the Islamic Republic will have. That means that Ghalibaf is willing to give everything except the uranium, which is the one thing the Americans want. And I do think I know why that's the least flexible part of this, is because it's so obvious. Like if you look at everything else, there is a way. So the way to for you to make sense of the Islamic Republic's politics is that will their supporters of the Islamic Republic allow this or not? Is it sellable to the supporters of the Islamic Republic? So we have 95% of Iranians, against the Islamic Republic. Let's say, I don't know the real number, but let's say 5% are against. That 5%, the Islamic Republic needs to be able to do whatever it's doing. It needs to be able to sell it to them, and any form of a surrender, any form of a capitulation or retreat will be seen as a betrayal, as treason, and they will not accept that. So when it comes to all of the things that they're negotiating, is there is a way to spin it as a victory, except the enriched uranium, because it's so binary. Either you gave up this enriched uranium that you have, either it's in Iran or it's outside. There's no in between, and it's an obvious capitulation to the Americans. Either you're going to get international observers to come back to Iran, and maybe this time they want American observers to see that you have destroyed all of your enrichment, um, uranium enrichment facilities or not. Like these are binary. There is no way to sell it. But let me actually show you this. Let me show you an image so that you guys have some visuals regarding what's happening when it comes to the regime followers. These are the regime followers. They made this image. Okay. And they're really angry at Ghalibaf. This is, Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Parliament, who he was the head of the negotiations with JD Vance. And you can see that they're angry with him because they're saying that he comes out and says, like, oh, yeah, death to America, and, and all of that in front of the scenes. But behind the scenes, he's basically talking to the Americans, and basically they're seeing this as treason. I'm going to try to be really quick so I could get to your questions. I'm just going to show you some videos that you're not going to see in other places, because I think this is going to give you a much better understanding than most people about what's going on here. Okay. So this is on the Islamic Republic State TV. So they are trying to tell the Iranian, their own supporters, why they're basically throwing Hezbollah under the bus. Let me actually show you this video first. So these are some chants by regime supporters that they're saying that they should be supporting Hezbollah. So let's look at this chant. They're saying like the negotiations need to include Israel not attacking Hezbollah. So let's listen to this chant.
آتش بس بی لبنان خیانت است به اسلام.
So they're saying آتش بس بی لبنان خیانت است به Islam, which means a ceasefire without Lebanon is betraying Islam. You're betraying Islam if you do a ceasefire without Lebanon.
آتش بس بی لبنان خیانت.
So that just keeps going like that for a while. That's the chant that they're having here. And you can see another video basically similar. You can see this chant was popular because this is in another city. And you can see they're making a similar chant here.
آتش بس بی لبنان خیانت است به اسلام.
But now, if you come to the state TV, you can see that they're trying to throw Hezbollah under the bus by explaining why the Lebanon has nothing to do with the ceasefire. So this was them trying to prepare the minds of the regime supporters that why they're basically throwing Hezbollah under the bus, and maybe they're going to be willing to talk to the Americans without insisting that Lebanon shouldn't be attacked by Israel. So, guys, when they say Lebanon, they mean Hezbollah. Like, it's so unfair to Lebanon for them to say Lebanon like this, because Lebanon doesn't support Hezbollah. But when they say Lebanon, they're talking about only the part of Lebanon that they agree with, which is Hezbollah. So I'm not going to show the whole video, but his main point is that Lebanon, or maybe basically Hezbollah, went to war with Israel not for the sake of the Islamic Republic. They did it for their own reasons. Okay, so he's saying the reason why we're not basically defending them right now is because they went to war with Israel for different reasons, and it wasn't for us, so we don't need to basically include them in the negotiation. So this was basically them trying to convince regime supporters to give up on Hezbollah, because they saw this was before the negotiation started in Islamabad. This is, so you remember, in state TV, whatever they say is like the orders are coming to them from the higher ups in IRGC. So it seems to me that when they realized that, okay, they need to give up on Hezbollah, they were trying to use the state TV to prepare the minds of the regime supporters, and it's not working. By the way, the regime supporters are not accepting what's coming from the state TV these days. Like, there's division is crazy. And then we had this mullah. Let me know, by the way, guys, if you want me to play the whole video, or is it okay? Because I want to make sure I get to your comments, or if I just give you the gist, is that enough, or do you want to see the whole Persian videos, right? So they brought this mullah on state TV.
اگه اشتباه نکنم امام رضا هم
خود حضرت رضا علیه السلام که با
بله.
مأمون مفصل گفتگو دارد اصلا
So it's interesting because just up until just recently on state TV, they were saying like no to negotiations, no to talking to the Americans, and now but they brought this mullah who he's going through all the like many Shia imams, and them talking to the most evil people of their time, to say like, look, this imam spoke to that evil person, to that khalifa or that khalifa. So it's okay to talk to evil people sometimes. That's what he's saying.
اگه اشتباه نکنم امام رضا هم
خود حضرت رضا علیه السلام که با
بله.
مأمون مفصل
بله.
گفتگو دارد اصلا تقریبا حضرت 1 سال و 6 ماه با مأمون حالت چیز پیدا میکنن، همکاری پیدا میکنن.
Anyways, he goes through a list of different imams talking to evil caliphs, Sunni caliphs. So Shia imams talking to evil Sunni caliphs, and he gives a list. So he's trying to sell the idea that negotiation is good. And then we got so Nabavian was part of the delegation of the Islamic Republic. He's a member of parliament, and he's part of the Paidari camp, which means that he's one of the most like crazy Durka radicals of them, right? So let me actually translate this to English for you guys. So he was part of the delegation, which actually surprised a lot of people that somebody from the Paidari camp was there, part of in the delegation. So Mahmoud Nabavian, Iran's deputy speaker of parliament, said that at the request of Mojtaba Khamenei, Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf has been appointed as the head of Iran's negotiating delegation in Islamabad. So Nabavian is kind of suggesting that he knows what Mojtaba Khamenei is saying, which is a big deal. That he's claiming that. Does he have access to him? If he's saying that he's claiming he has access, he has knowledge that other people don't have, and if he's being honest, that means that Mushtaba is very close to the Paidari camp, which makes him like a lot more radical than a lot of people, that maybe even his father, right? But you can see that they're trying to use Mushtaba as a way to give Muhammad Baqir Ghalibaf some legitimacy among their regime supporters, because that's the only way right now that you could get any legitimacy, by saying you have the blessing of Mushtaba Khamenei. But that is still not working. I think so many regime supporters might not believe this until Mojtaba Khamenei shows up himself and says something. But I don't think even if he does that, he might not have the same level of influence as his father. And I already saw some mullahs coming with some religious justification for why you shouldn't always be listening to the supreme leader, which means that they're already planning on, reducing the authority that Mojtaba has. Nabavian also added, a ceasefire and conducting negotiations is the decisions of the leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, and he's also committed to the fatwa declaring nuclear weapons to be forbidden. Look at this. Guys, this is desperation. Okay, so he's basically saying, guys, chill. Mojtaba thinks that the negotiations are okay. Mojtaba thinks that ceasefire is okay. please stop attacking us talking to the Americans. That's what there's every time they say Mushtaba said this, that's what they're doing. But the second part is very interesting because it seems to me that they're preparing their minds. They might be preparing the minds of their pro-regime people to even be flexible with the nuclear stuff. And then Nabavion. Okay, I think this is reporting the same thing. Yes, this is the same thing. So I'm not going to read that one. And this is actually very interesting. If I could, yeah, I'll just do this one and then I'll go to you guys. Okay. So this guy is very important. He's Alama Hoda. He's one of the most important religious leaders in Iran. He's based in Mashhad. I call him the Santa Claus of Mashhad, but he has a huge cult following among certain people within Iran. And I'll just show you this, and then after that we'll go to you guys. So you can see the before and after. مردم میگن آتش بس یعنی غلط. So he's saying the people are saying. So this is before the ceasefire was announced. Okay, so this was before the ceasefire was announced, and he's coming out and in his sermon he's saying the people are saying that ceasefire is wrong. Negotiating is a mistake. Like our people are against. Our people are against any shaking of their hands with the Americans. And then look, and then now after the ceasefire was announced, apparently he got the memo from the higher ups that now we need to basically be endorsing it now. And now he's saying he's basically selling that the fact that we did the ceasefire and negotiation is good because the Americans were saying that we're not going to negotiate, we're not going to do ceasefire, but we did. So this shows to the world that we are not warmonger, the Americans are, that we don't want war, the Americans want. So he's saying this was a good move that we just did because it shows to the world that the Americans want war, not us, right? So he just changed his tune because they told him that this is now what we're going with. So you can see the regime, the state media, and different religious authorities are trying to hold things together, but the divisions are because of the ceasefire and because of the negotiation. The division is escalating, and honestly, this ceasefire has been more devastating to the Islamic Republic than the war itself.
Okay, so I believe Sketch wanted to respond to this. I'm gonna ask that people that respond limited to like 30 seconds because we have a very full room.
Hello, yes. I was watching your show with Goldie. Very good. And I want to say this kind of division is kind of what they wanted, but this kind of division, can't this also lead to defections? Wouldn't defections play part? Like they would want to go be their Shia big dog in another country, people leaving, people seeing the writing on the wall, like people trying to find their own factions, make their own factions, seek power elsewhere. I think that those might be possibilities. Like if I was a hardline faction and I'm seeing that everything is or the ground is falling around me, but my power is in being a hardliner, I might be like, you know what? I might just go be a hardliner somewhere where I'm appreciated. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a good question. What we do usually see is they want to be a hardliner fighting the Islamic Republic as an illegitimate. So they don't want to go somewhere else. They want to topple the Islamic Republic to bring a proper Islamic regime rather than the Islamic Republic, because their ideology is that Iran is the center of operations of the Mahdi, right? It has to be Iran. So they're not going to give up, even if they go somewhere else. Is to go somewhere else to find their buddies to come back to Iran and basically make Iran Islamic again. So by the way, this division is years in the making. Like from the Paidari camp, for example, there are many people within the Paidari camp that have for years have considered the Islamic Republic to be not Islamic. In fact, these are the group of people who think that the word republic in the name of the Islamic Republic, the word republic shows that this is not an Islamic government. Like, why do you have this Western concept Like, what do you want to, what why do you have elections? Do you want to rule by the people, or do you want to rule by God? Like laws don't come from people, laws come from Allah, right? So we already had certain people within the Islamic Republic for years that eventually wanted to basically topple the Islamic Republic to bring an even more Islamic regime in power. And now that they're seeing that people like Ghalibaf and others are talking to the Americans, like more people were joining these camps of people when they saw women in Iran not wearing the hijab and the regime not being able to do anything about it. They saw their humiliation in the 12-day war without the Islamic Republic being able to respond properly. Like some of these people are not actually retarded, even though the state keeps telling you that we're winning against Israel, we're winning against Americans. Some of these people are like, well, you're not actually not. Like if you look at the comment sections, like half of the people who are pro regime are like, this is like, you think like we're idiots, or you're losing, you're not actually properly responding to Israel. So a lot of people are getting demotivated, demoralized, and they wanted to topple the regime to make it more Islamic, and now it's going to motivate even more people to do that. But they don't have anywhere to go. Like where would they go? They, even if they go, would some of them would go out, it would be with the intention of recruiting people and coming back. So I think this is going to be turned into like, if like once we liberate Iran, these people are going to be like internal terrorist groups that we're going to have to deal with. Does that answer the question, by the way? I don't even know if I did answer the question.
Yes, that would go into what we talked about last time, that you say there might be insurgencies, but would these
Right.
insurgencies be supported on the inside if the inside is benefiting? Another thing would be maybe defections from Artesh that would also demoralize any insurgent faction of hardliner. But yes, this answers it well. Thank you.
Yeah, but and everywhere else is worse, by the way, right? Like, where would we go? Like, Lebanon's government is now wants to talk to the Israelis. Iraqi government has direct relationships with the United States. The Arabs, like the all the Arab countries around the Persian Gulf, they think that they're completely Zionist. Like these people consider like UAE and Saudi Arabia to be completely Zionist countries, no different than Israel. So where would you go? Like you don't have a place to go. It's either Sunni. Everywhere else is either Sunni or has good relationship with Americans. So is basically in their mind, Iran is the base of operations for Mahdi. These people wanted to hand over the flag of the Islamic Republic and put it in the hands of Mahdi when he arrives. That was the plan.